I'm Laura Max Rose, mother of two, and you're listening to Look Ma No Hands, my candid dispatches from the front lines of motherhood. I ask the real, tough, honest questions on motherhood-related topics that we're all wanting to know more about, in hopes it will make everyone's journey fulfilling, easier, and more joyful. If you're not a mom, welcome. I want you to know how happy I am that you're listening and that these topics can be applied to any season of life. I'm grateful you're along for the ride. Welcome back to Look Ma No Hands. I am your host, Laura Max Rose, and today I am doing an episode on something that has been on many of our minds lately. If you've turned on the news or read a newspaper, my husband still reads the newspaper, but I think he's the only one left, or just even looked on Facebook, you have probably seen some very alarming information about the coronavirus. A lot of us are alarmed, but we don't really know this. We don't really have the information that we need to make informed decisions about how to handle a threat like this. We haven't faced one in a very long time. So I'm really excited to bring you someone who can give us that information. I'm joined today by Dr. Gail Clayton. Welcome to the specialist. She is also an adjunct professor of biochemistry at the University of Bridgeport. Welcome again, Gail. I'm so excited to talk to you about this. This is a subject I truly know nothing about. And when things alarm me in the news, my usual response is, okay, I can't handle this. I have to focus on what's in front of me. I got to take care of my kids. I got to keep them alive. And this is overwhelming. So I tend to just block it out a little bit. And as the days go by, I realize this is actually pretty imminent. This is something we're all talking about. This is spreading and I need to know more. And I'm sure a lot of the people who listen to this show want to know more as well. So first, we'll just dive right in and I'm going to ask you what made you dive into coronavirus research with your background.
Well, Laura, I was kind of like you when I first heard about it. I was like, okay, I don't want to listen to this. This is another media-driven vaccine sales by the media. Every year we hear, the flu is here, everybody's going to die, and so everybody gets panicked and runs down and gets a flu shot, and the media just freaks out if there's like 2 measles cases, right?
Yeah, well, it felt that way to me, like, oh my God, this is another media freak out, and I can't indulge in
and
this.
I was just like laughing at people that were freaking out about it. I'm like, come on, guys, it was probably
me
like
too.
Fake.
My husband's terrified of things like this, and he was like, oh my God, can you believe what's going on? I'm just like, nothing's going on, everything's fine. But
yeah.
it's clearly.
But what made me kind of change my mind about it is that the media was like totally ignoring it and downplaying it, which is so unlike them. They don't want to let a good crisis go to waste.
Really, that's so true. You can actually kind of tell when something really is wrong when they are ignoring it because. Yeah. I know, I know people who are in China or who have traveled through. I mean, it is so much worse than what we know is going on right now. It's kind of the same thing with here, like in Houston, when there's a chemical plant explosion and all these chemicals are released into the air and nobody talks about it. It's the same thing. Like when the media really needs to be discussing something, that's when you should be alarmed, when they're not talking about it.
Yeah. So, I thought, even the alternative medicine doctors, naturopaths and chiropractors and nutritionists, they were all kind of starting to talk about it and nobody was acting like it was fake. And I thought, oh my gosh, what if this really is real? And I continued to ignore it. So then I decided, well, let me look into this, because if this is real, it's probably going to go widespread. We're all going to be exposed to it eventually, no matter what the containment efforts are, because it's obvious that China has failed in its containment efforts, even as militant as they are. And I hear that they're soldering people in their homes, they're locking people up. 400 million people are on lockdown, and they're still unable to contain the virus. The virus is pretty easily transmitted through.
Is it more
droplets.
contagious than the flu? Do we know that?
I think so. Well, okay. It's aerosolized, and the thing is the virus can stay on an inanimate object for 9 days. And I'm reading the new stuff coming out is that it can survive on a surface for up to 27 days. I don't know how true that is, but that's some of the new information that I'm hearing.
Is that much longer than how long does a typical virus survive on an inanimate object?
Well, it really depends. Some viruses, like HIV, you have to have personal contact,
Right.
of the mucous membranes. But some viruses may live a few hours, but this one is pretty sturdy.
So you decided to start doing research on the coronavirus once you realized, okay, this is serious, and I want to know more.
Right. Because I thought, well, if this is true, and this is not a fake media scare to sell vaccine, because honestly, there's not a vaccine out there. The way the virus replicates is actually getting inside the cell. So they bind to, our cells have all these proteins. So there's a couple of glycoproteins that are on the cell surface, and the virus can bind to some of those receptors. One is called ACE2, and the other one is called DPP4. And when it binds to that membrane, it's able to get in, and once it gets in, it hijacks the whole cellular machinery inside. And then it basically will take over the whole glucose pathway and start feeding itself and start replicating. And it just basically turns the whole cell into a viral factory. Okay, and that's why the cytokines, they're going around and they're killing the whole cell. If the cell gets infected, the cytokine will go and kill the entire cell. So that's what's happening at the mucus lining of your lungs. And then you can't do this, you can't do the carbon dioxide oxygen exchange that's supposed to happen because of all the cells are all lysed open and mucus, and there's no really good cell surface area for this gas exchange to happen. So there's a couple of compounds that I looked at. So once I understood the mechanism and I saw the receptors, I'm like, oh, I know what blocks those receptors.
What blocks them?
Well, there's two things that nutrients, and I'm all into the whole natural stuff. I'm not a fan of big pharma. So something called AHCC, which is active hexose correlated compound. And it's a type of mushroom, and it can bind to those receptors. So if you have a whole bunch of that in there, it'll bind to that ACV2 receptor and prevent the virus from actually accessing it. So you can decrease the proliferation rate by flooding it with this mushroom compound. And it also prevents that huge cytokine storm that causes so much inflammation that actually causes the heart attack.
So where can one find this mushroom?
You can get it online, and I have the dosages and the brands that I like on my website, and also I have a link to my dispensary if you want to get it through there. I offer a really fantastic discount, but if you can get it wherever you want, but I'm going to give away the protocol for free because I don't want to see a huge crisis here, and I want to help as many people as I can. Now, the other supplement that blocks that DPP4 is Spirulina.
Oh, you're kidding.
It's a blue-green
We all know
algae.
what that is.
Yeah. It's highly antiviral, and you have to take large doses of it. So if you use, the thing about nutrients it's so different from drugs. If you have two drugs that have similar mechanism action, instead of it working better, it's just more toxic.
Right.
But with nutrients, when you use nutrients that have a similar mechanism of action, they have synergy.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Spirulina. So the Spirulina that we can get anywhere, is there a specific type that you like?
You want to be careful about Spirulina and make sure it's a really good, clean source, because Spirulina is grown in these big vats in the ground. And if it's a highly polluted area, it'll absorb the heavy metals from the lakes. And so you don't want to get something that has a lot of heavy metals in it. I know Dr. McCullough's, I think it's Pure Blue is a pretty good source of clean Spirulina.
Wow.
I would stick with the professional brands, and I have all of the brands as a PDF download on my website, and what I think that the optimal doses of each, and then I have how to adjust it for children.
But what do we do now? I mean, this virus is continuing to spread, and where does that leave us? The quarantining 400 million people
Right.
isn't working. And we have people over here, I know, who are just terrified. And they're also thinking about their children. I know you've done a lot of research about how the coronavirus could affect children. Can you share that with us?
Well, when I was looking at my research, in order to survive this, you want to know, how does this virus actually get into the body and proliferate? What is the mechanism of action? And then what is the mechanism that actually kills us? Okay.
Right.
And so what I looked at is how its effect on the immune system. And so when we're breathing it in, it's met with the immune system at the lining of our lung tissue, the epithelial lining, and we have a lot of mucus there. There's a lot of interplay because we have to have immune cells at that lining of the lung, because every breath we breathe in, we have a lot of toxins, a lot of particles, pathogens, bacteria. And the immune system, it just kind of eats it and takes it to the lymph and for easy disposal, right? Mm-hmm. And so when this pathogen comes in and it meets the immune system at that layer. Now, if we have a really good, healthy cell membranes and a healthy epithelial layer of the lung, and our barriers are intact, because the mucus kind of acts as a barrier. And we have a lot of antioxidants at that membrane too that can kind of help and protect the cell membranes and protect us from the pathogens from entering the cell. But once those barriers become breached because of a history of poor diet, a history of smoking, and our cell membranes are already kind of screwed up, then the virus can kind of get in, and it has what we call an evasion strategy, where it impairs the immune system from recognizing it. That's why it takes so long to get symptoms from it, because it's hiding from the immune system.
I didn't know that. It takes a long time to get symptoms.
Yeah, they're saying it can take up to 2 weeks, or maybe even longer before you have symptoms. And so it wants to establish itself as like some of the normal flora, and it does that by impairing one part of our immune system. So we have basically two arms of the immune system. We have the innate immune system that we're born with, and that's what all kids have. And we develop the other immune system later on in life. And so this immune system that we're born with is always patrolling. It's like little. I describe it to my students as like little Pac-Man. They go around and they sample all your tissues, and and it asks the question, well, is this me? And
right.
if it is you, then it just kind of floats away. But it gobbles up anything. It's not specific. It'll eat chemicals, toxins, and all of that. And so what it does is it gobbles it up, and inside these immune cells are like really nasty chemicals and enzymes, and it liquefies the pathogen and kind of blows it up. And then it takes parts of that pathogen and over to the adaptive immune cells that are sitting in your lymph, and the adaptive immune system is sitting there saying, oh, I'm going to wait, and when I get fed something that's very interesting, like a virus or bacteria, I'm going to start like cloning out like 10 to the 5, 10 to the 6, and it may take a week or so to get that thing really, really going. So the job of the innate immune system is to kind of hold down the fort. And then the adaptive immune system, they make specialized cells. It's very, very specific for that pathogen. And they home back to that tissue where that pathogen is. So all of this T cell gets ramped up in our lymph. And that's why kids don't get as sick, because their adaptive immune system isn't ramped up. And the adaptive immune system makes these inflammatory cytokines. And then they go back to the lung tissue. Now you've got this massive cytokine storm going on in the lung. And then there's so much inflammation that it destroys the cell membranes.
So it's really adults who are more vulnerable to the really catastrophic consequences of the coronavirus. But what else determines how well we will fare if we were to contract it?
Well, one thing you want to make sure, if you want to survive it, what I'm telling people is to change your diet now. If you're a smoker, stop smoking. Make sure you're getting plenty of sleep at night. Make sure that you, if you have sleep apnea, you want to be wearing your CPAP. And if you already have cardiovascular disease, some kind of lung issue, you want to really support that and try to, fix your cell membranes. Diet is huge. And so I recommend changing over to like a Whole30 or paleo diet so that your cell membranes have enough time to repair and get healthy before you get sick.
And that's really something that can build up our cell membranes to the point that would be a determining factor between whether or not we would fare well or fare very poorly.
Yeah, and so if your cell membranes are already sick, we can repair that. And even taking things like tocotrienol, N-acetylcysteine, and glutathione can help with the barriers, help repair the barriers, and help shore up those cell membranes and protect it from all the damage when the cytokine storm does come.
So this is not the first time we've seen virus spread this way, but why is the coronavirus so much more dangerous than other threats that we have to our immune system?
Well, that's a really good question. Because it's entering into the lungs. There's a lot of conspiracy theories out there that it was developed as a stealth pathogen, as a bioweapon, that it was bioengineered. I don't know how true that is.
Well, what we do know though is that it was contracted from bats, correct?
Well, that's what they're saying.
We don't know, but that's what we.
Yeah, and
that's the information we have.
I don't know who really knows. I think very few people really know the answers and know the truth behind it. All I know is what I can read and what I can study. Mm-hmm. As far as like where it originated from,
does it seem like a virus that's strong enough to be does it seem like it's much stronger than what we've seen, like what other viruses could do? Is the damage that could be wreaked by coronavirus much stronger than just the regular old flu, which more people die of the flu than coronavirus? So,
well, I don't think that we have seen the full effect of the coronavirus, because the percent that die from the flu is like 0.01%. Mm-hmm. It's really pretty low. Mm-hmm. And the percent that was coming out of China is maybe 5 to 10%, but those, maybe they're not getting medical care and all of that. We don't really know, but outside of China, I'm hearing mortality rates of 1 to 2%, so that's quite high.
That is quite high. So while the statistic I keep hearing is that, like, don't worry about the coronavirus, more people die of the flu every day.
Right.
What we're not paying as much attention to is the percentage of people who are dying from it that do contract it, that it's more dangerous.
Right. I believe it's more dangerous, just like the SARS virus was much more dangerous than the flu virus.
Okay. So we can take better care of ourselves to have healthier immune systems in the event that this does grow, which is something. Do you believe that we're going to be seeing more and more cases? Do you think the worst isn't over yet? Is that where you're coming from?
I don't think it's gotten here yet.
Okay. And you think it will, and you think it will spread?
I think it's here already. Mm-hmm. And I think that news about it is being suppressed.
Okay.
Hospitals are seeing more people with respiratory distress. They don't have the testing available to confirm or deny it's a coronavirus. And I'm a little concerned at the lack of preparation of the hospitals. Like, they're not protecting their personnel. Mm-hmm. And they're just acting like nothing's happening, like there's no threat.
Well, it's hard to feel like there is one because we're so insulated from, like, we hear a lot of alarmist information, but we don't really hear we don't really know what's going on, Right. I guess so. It's difficult to really take in the magnitude. So there are supplements and other recommendations that we can other things that we can do. Are there any supplements that we can take that can help us?
Well, right up front, I think taking tocotrienols, which is a special form of vitamin E, and all the recent studies out are showing that it's much, much more effective at protecting our cell membranes, at preventing all of this free radical damage to our cells. Glutathione, N-acetylcysteine, which is also known as NAC, those can shore up and protect your cell membranes.
And you can take these supplements every day. I've not heard of any of them. I'm like the generic vitamin kind of gal. So, okay. So these are things that we can just buy at GNC or wherever we purchase vitamins from.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And we can take them on a daily basis to strengthen our immune system.
You can. And then there's other things, Ganoderma or reishi mushroom can help support your innate immune system. So as we get older, we lose our innate immune system, and now the heavy lifting and the heavy burden is on the adaptive immune system. That's why these older people have this cytokine storm, and that's causing all of this inflammation, and then that causes a cardiovascular collapse. We have all of this coagulation and everything, and our whole heart muscle is very, very vascular. And that's why a lot of people are dying from heart attacks. And then once that gets going, then you end up with multi-system organ failure and can die from that.
So you're going to be putting together a webinar to share all the information that you've gathered, having researched the coronavirus pretty intensely over the last few weeks or month or however long we've been dealing with it. So your webinar is not available yet, but when will it become available?
I'm hoping to release that by the end of this week.
Okay.
And it's going to be on my website at www.drgailclayton.com.
And we can watch this and learn more about what the coronavirus is and how we can effectively prevent it from spreading in our...
Right. And if you if you sign up to watch it, then I also have a downloadable survival plan, exactly what supplements, what brands that I like and that I recommend, and like what to do before you get sick to make your body healthy, and then if you do get sick, how to step it up a notch to kind of get in there and really minimize the cytokine storm and minimize the damage.
So you did all this research by yourself?
I did.
And what were your feelings when you realized, wait, hold on, I think I know something that could really help a lot of people?
Well, when I was doing the research, I kind of got myself into some PTSD, and I was having some palpitations, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I need some therapy because I'm I'm spiraling and out of the fear. And then I got really excited when I was reading how the virus replicates, and I already knew how I could block that. And so I came up with a plan of how to do it. And then I realized, what? I'm more scared of running out of toilet paper than I am of getting this virus now, because I'm so confident that I'm healthy enough, and I'm 63, and I know how to fight this virus. I know how to optimize my body. My diet is really clean, except for an occasional cheat here and there, because of course it's no fun if you can't,
if you can't have a little fun.
Yeah. So so I kind of stocked up with 6 months of toilet paper, because I'm like, I'm freaking out. China's shutting down, and there's going to be a shortage on toilet paper.
I haven't even thought about that. Oh my gosh, you're way ahead of me. I was like, wait, why is she stocking up on toilet paper? And then I thought, oh, okay, right. China manufactures the toilet paper. Yeah, I haven't considered any of those things.
Yeah, so the basic plan is, you want to avoid sick people. And if you're sick, stay home. You want to make sure you wash your hands all the time. Okay, when you come in from outdoors, wash your hands immediately. And don't touch your face.
What about a hand sanitizer? Is that as effective?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so.
So because I have seen research recently saying that it's definitely not, but it's probably better than nothing.
Actually, what I think would be those towelettes that are essential oils.
Okay.
Essential oils are really great. They're antiviral, and I would carry around those hand sanitizer towelettes that are essential oil, and wipe my hands down, wipe down the grocery cart. Make sure you don't touch your face until you get home and wash your hands. And then you want to get something to clean the steering wheel of your car,
right? Because there's like one thing leads to another.
Yeah. So, but honestly, if it's living on inanimate objects for up to 27 days, you're going to get exposed eventually. It may not be this week or next month, but, like this virus may go on for a long time. And it may just be kind of part of our next generation childhood disease.
Really? Okay. Well, I hope you're wrong, but like if you're right, I appreciate all of the ways that we can avoid it.
Yeah. And for an adult, if you already have an autoimmune disease or you get sick a lot, you have chronic sinus infections, I wouldn't wait to start some of these immune boosting things that I have in my protocol to go ahead and you want to boost up your innate immune system to where it's like a child's. Okay. When you boost the innate immune system, it automatically pushes down the adaptive. And the adaptive immune system is the part that gets revved up and gets polarized. And once that get going, it's really, really tough to go in and block all of those cytokines from self-stimulating.
Amazing. Well, I'm just blown away by all of the research that you've done and all of the suggestions that you have. And if anyone wants to learn more about your protocol or watch your webinar, which is going to be airing later this week, they can go to your website. Is that drgailclayton.com?
Yes, that's DrGailClayton, drgailclayton.com.
Thank you for being my guest today, Dr. Clayton, and thank you all for listening. This is Laura Max Rose, and you've been listening to Look Ma, No Hands. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Look Ma, No Hands. I'm Laura Max Rose, and you can follow me on Instagram at Laura Max Rose to stay up to date on upcoming episodes and the behind the scenes of my life with my own 2 daughters. If you like this episode and are enjoying Look Ma, No Hands, the best way you can help me spread the word is to leave a review on Apple Podcast. This is the single best way to help me reach a larger audience and share these conversations with everyone who needs to hear them. If you love something you just heard, you can also take a screenshot of the episode and share it on social media. There might be someone you know who needs to hear what you just heard, and that's another great way to make sure they do. Thank you for joining me every week. I'm grateful for each and every one of you. More next time.